So one of the techniques I use is that if I think that it's possible I have some profound advice that I really want to share, I will say, listen, is it okay if I share a couple things with you that I would try? Or do you just, and I give them the option, or do you just need to vent right now? Or do you just need me to listen? And they will tell me the truth.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. It's one thing to feel disconnected from your children when they leave home to head off for college. And it's an entirely different ballgame for moms when your kids actually leave college, go out on their own, and are truly adulting. Feeling a lack of connection with our adult children is one of the top issues moms in the Moms Who Dare and Double Dare community talk about all the time. And here's some great news. Today, I brought in an expert in this exact area to support you in creating connection with your adult children. I have Kim Damon in the house with me. Kim is founder of Worthy Moms Midlife Discoveries. Kim is a certified life and Enneagram coach, helping empty nest moms create a new and empowered relationship with their adult children so they can feel connected while thriving in midlife. Kim is happily married with a blended family of 2 grown kids, 2 stepkids, 4 in-law kids, and 9 grandkids. Helping other moms through this phase is truly her passion. Kim, welcome to Beyond Empty Nest.
Oh, thank you, Jody, for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yes, and I can't think of anybody other than somebody who has 2 grown kids, 2 stepkids, and 4 in-law kids to be able to talk to us about navigating and really having that connection and learning how to have that deeper connection with our adult children. Because I'm sure you've learned a lot along your own personal journey.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I know I told them who you were, but
Mhm.
before we get into our topic, which is about creating connection with your adult children, can you share a little bit with our audience, how did you come to do this work?
Well, I came to do this work because I experienced this problem. I had 2 children that kind of disconnected from me. And in a way, it was kind of a natural thing for it to happen, but I didn't understand it.
Mhm.
One of the reasons why they disconnected, I believe, is that they both joined the service. Okay. They both became Marines. My son, first, he was in boot camp on 9/11. And
Whoa.
yes,
Whoa.
it was so scary. It was a very scary moment. And when they're going through that kind of training, they're told to step away from their families. Your family's not there for you anymore. Your mama's not here to save you. There's kind of a breaking down process. And what I noticed after the fact is that he kind of stayed away from me for quite a while. And
Mm.
then lo and behold, my daughter calls from college and said, I'm at the recruiter's station. I just joined the Marines.
Oh my God. I can't even, I have to pause there because I can't, I'm like losing my heart's starting to race. If you could feel my heart, I
Telling
can't
you.
even imagine. Not like this is what I'm thinking, like I'm here and I'm doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there was no she knew that I'm sure she knew that I would hop in the car and probably try to stop her from doing it, and not because I don't love my country, obviously, but because I didn't want that same thing for her, and I knew that she was just struggling in school, and that's why she was doing what she was doing. So, they went through this process where they met people in the military, they actually eloped. Both of them eloped, so they got married without mom there, they would disappear all the time. They would come back. It was in and out of estrangement, and the whole time I was miserable, absolutely miserable. I was sad all of the time. I was heartbroken. There were arguments that happened. There was just a lot of emotion. So I was just determined actually to solve this problem. And that kind of led me down the path of becoming a coach because I thought that, hey, I need to get over this and I need to take other people through this
Mm.
because it works. And it worked in my family and it reconnected us in a whole different way. So, yeah, that's my
Wow.
story.
That's a powerful mom story right there. And I have to tell you something you said. It was interesting because when I decided to become a coach, I did it more for me because
Yeah.
when you go through coach training, you have to go through the coach training for yourself. You're being coached.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
to peel back that layer of the onion and you have to go deep and you have to find out where you are and why you're stuck and the
Mhm.
limiting beliefs and all of that. So it is very transformational. And so I can appreciate that part of your story. And I'm happy to hear that things are better for you and that you are sharing such an important gift with moms and midlife women everywhere. I know because I follow you. You're We'll get more to that later in the show notes. There'll be links everywhere below for you to follow Kim. But for
Oh,
now, okay, so
good.
let's dive right into the topic of creating connection with your adult children. I know that there are three main points that we want to cover today. So I hope everybody has pen and paper. If you don't, you're going to have to rewind this and come listen to it over and over and over again. This is one of those episodes that you want to download and you want to save and you want to share with your friends because as
Yeah.
moms, we need to share. So, all right. So the first one is that I'm smiling because I literally just recorded a whole solo episode about expectations. And you say one of the first steps is checking your expectations. Can you
Yeah.
talk into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I call it the manual, okay? We all have these great big books and we have all of these expectations in these books of how things are gonna go with our kids when they're older, okay? We didn't really think this thing through. Like, we think we're going to be having every Christmas with them, every holiday, or at least every other holiday,
Right.
right? That things are gonna be so blissful. And then when they fall apart or they don't exactly end up like we expect, we begin to put pressure on our kids to make it happen. And
Mhm.
then they kind of push back on us. And so what ends up happening is we have these unconscious decisions and that we're making and we're not really thinking it through. Now I'm just here to tell you that we can have a great relationship with them if we just check those expectations and maybe bring them back down to a more realistic way of communicating with our kids and expectation of our kids and open that door to really loving our children in a different way and having a lifelong friendship with them.
And you can. I mean, I tell you mine are 25 and 28, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this relationship that I have with them. I'm not saying it's always blissful, but you said something really important. It's the unconscious set of expectations that we have because and those are probably rooted in our belief systems as
Yes.
well. And when you and I had another guest and she said this. She said, "When you have expectations and you haven't gotten buy-in from the other body included in your expectations, you end up in the valley of suffering." And
Mhm.
that's what you're saying. And sometimes you might not even be aware. And that's the unconscious expectations, right?
Yeah, to add to that, there are research shows that we develop our sense of expectations, values, what's right and what's wrong by the age of 7. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my 7-year-old self running my life right now. So we need to pick them back up and examine them. Are they really something that we want? And quite honestly, I have the funniest little meme with my son in my lap. Okay, he's 40 and it's just a little meme, and it's like, this is what we think we want, but this
Yeah.
is just creepy.
Yeah. It is a little creepy
Oh,
thought. Just if I grabbed my son, who's 25, and I pulled him onto my lap, oh my God, the horror that it would be. And
yeah,
it
it
is
was
creepy.
funny.
Oh,
It
that's
was a lot
funny.
of fun.
That is funny. That's funny. So it's the first step is to creating connections, checking your expectations, and really diving deep into, is this, have they bought into these expectations, and
Yeah.
maybe revisit why you believe that that should be so. Is it more about you than it's about them? And
Yes.
is it realistic? And it's hard. Expectations, we could do probably an entire season of podcast episodes just on expectations in all different areas of life. But it
Absolutely.
is a big one with the adult children. Yeah, especially and when we're talking about adult children, we're also talking about when they start to have significant others in their lives. I mean, you have 4 in-law kids. So
Yeah.
when they merge their life with another family, that family, they matter. They have their
Mhm.
set of expectations too. And I can tell you, my family has lots of expectations and lots of belief systems. And there was a point in time where I felt so pulled,
Mhm.
and it was my husband that said, "This isn't right, Jody. This isn't the way it's supposed to be." And I'm like, "It's not." And I credit my husband with really helping me
And
develop our
there's
own beliefs.
yeah, there's a lot of relief in
Yeah.
developing those new, expectations or examining those expectations and letting go of some of those old
Yeah.
beliefs.
Yeah, and it's not easy. It's not easy. I've let go of things, not because they didn't work. They don't work for me. They worked for my mom and me, but they're not going to work for me and my daughter. So I
Mhm.
love that. Okay, so checking your expectations and really understanding, questioning them. And
Yeah.
number 2, I love this one, Kim. This is one of my favorite.
Oh.
Giving your adult kids advice. All right, talk about this. It's a big one.
Yeah, so I don't know about you, but no one really likes getting unsolicited advice, and neither do our children.
Mm-mm.
And in fact, when we give that unsolicited advice, they usually can create an emotion where they feel that we've criticized them. Now, I'm
Yes.
just going to give you an example using my own experience with my husband. So, I'm one of those lucky women where my husband loves to cook. Okay. Yes, I'm super
You
lucky.
are. That
So
is
once in
lucky.
a while, I'll find a really awesome recipe, which I have to follow in detail because I'm not that great at cooking.
Okay.
And I will get all the ingredients and I will be in the kitchen and I will share with him, I'm going to make something for dinner. Pretty soon he's in there and he's asking me 20 questions. This is how it begins. Usually with kids, we ask them 20 questions first. And then we go right into giving advice, and this is what he did with me. He went right into giving advice. "Why don't you add this? Why don't you do that?" And you know what? I was offended. Quite honestly, I was offended. The thing is that his intention was just to spend some time with his wife cooking because he loves to cook. But I took it as in, I don't obviously don't know what I'm doing, or he doesn't think I know what I'm doing, and he's criticizing me for the way I'm making the meal. But we do this all the time with our kids. Okay? We give them advice when they don't ask for it. So one of the techniques I use is that if I think that it's possible I have some profound advice that I really want to share, I will say, "Listen, is it okay if I share a couple things with you that I would try? Or do you just," and I give them the option, "or do you just need to vent right now? Or do you just need me to listen?" And they will tell me the truth. They have actually said, "I don't want your advice. I just need you to listen." And that was my cue to be quiet because they just needed their mom to hear what they were saying. We don't need to give advice like they're 10 years old.
No, no, and it they feel criticized, or they feel as if you don't have belief in them, that
Yeah.
they're capable of figuring out a solution to the problem. I love it. I call it the permission question, and it's coaching 101, and it is the biggest thing I ever learned. I'm not going to say I do it right all the time, but for the most part, I do. I do it with my mom too, because your mom doesn't want you to to nobody wants
Mhm.
unsolicited advice. And
Right.
we all have that person in our life who always, always jumps in to try and fix it for you and try and give
Yeah.
you the advice. And I love how the permission question is powerful for the people. And I will share with you for the people who are trying to give you solutions all the time outside. I'm sidebarring here. You can always start off your conversation and say, "Hey, Kim, I have something I want to vent about. I don't need you to fix it. Just can I vent to you without any opinions at all?" I had a friend just do that to me recently. She goes,
Yeah.
I figured something out. I really don't want any thoughts on it. Can I just put it out there? I'm like, yep, let it land. And I'm going to tell you
Yes.
something. When you do that with your children and ask permission, they will come to you more often
Yes, they will.
because they feel
Absolutely.
respected. They feel heard.
Mhm.
They feel listened to. They don't feel like you're trying to tell them, like you said, they don't feel criticized. It's important. Otherwise, they stop coming to you and you don't understand it. And women, moms that don't do that and aren't aware that they're doing it. So you
Yeah.
may not be aware. It's just you're so used to being, look, we're fixers. Don't
Yeah.
beat yourself up if you're sitting here right now listening to Kim and saying, "Oh my God, I do this, I do that." It's okay. That's good. You're aware.
Yeah.
The first part, the first step to change any behavior is to become aware of it.
Oh, I still do it. In fact,
Yeah.
my daughter and I have this little joke going now because I actually told her probably about I wanna say about 6 months ago. I actually told her it was cold outside and she needed a jacket, okay? She's
Oh, I read
36
this.
years
Didn't you
old.
share this on a blog
Yes.
post or so or an email? I read
Yeah.
this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I told her that it was cold outside, and she's like, "Okay." Just like that, she looks at it, and right away, I knew. And what's so funny about it is that I can laugh and I can joke with her about it. And this is what we need to do. We just need to acknowledge it. When we notice that they're becoming offended by what we're saying, we can just say, "Oh, I just gave you some advice that you really didn't need, right?" And I'm trying to work on that. So thanks for giving me the heads up.
Yeah, no, and I love that you can
Yeah.
pull back and you can tell by her response that you did it, and then you make light of it, and she can appreciate that. I'm sure she appreciates that you're like, "Okay, she knows. She didn't mean
Yeah,
it." And it helps everybody. I love that.
it
I love
does.
that. So, watch the advice, ask permission. Ask
Yeah.
clarify what they want. I love that. Or you say, "Or are you just wanting to vent?" Love that.
Mhm.
Love
Mhm.
that. Because we are the safe space for our kids no matter how old they are. They
Yes,
can't
we
vent to their
are.
bosses, their friends will only listen to so much.
Mhm.
But they do come to us and vent because we're the safe space to land because
Mhm.
we're just there for them.
Yeah, we're also the safe place. I'll throw in there that we're also the safe place to hate on too,
Oh,
okay?
yeah, that's
So
true.
if they're venting too much or they're venting towards you, then, that's another area that we need to work on. But for giving advice, you don't need to do it. You just need to listen. That's what they need from you.
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay. Number 3. I love all 3 of these. All 3 of these strategies, these points, the shifts that we have to make, I guess I'm calling them. So I'm going to let you say what number 3 is because my audience knows how I feel about this, but you say it. Maybe they'll hear it differently.
Okay. Well, I have to first clarify that when I tell you this number 3 strategy, I want you to understand that my children have noticed this in me, and this is the number 1 thing that they have brought up over and over again. And
Wow.
that is that the 3rd thing the 3rd most important thing is for us to be 100% responsible for our own happiness, okay? And it's magic. It's absolutely magic because we might get into a place where we feel completely out of control with our kids, and we then don't feel control over our lives, and we don't feel like we're in control of our happiness.
Mhm.
And we feel like they're pulling the strings. And here's the deal is that you can give them complete autonomy. You can let them be responsible for themselves, and you be responsible for your own happiness by creating your own results and doing what you want to do and making sure that you have your own back. You're your own advocate.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, and when we decide to do this, we can take back that control over our lives again, and it is so freeing. And like I said in the beginning, this is the number one area that my kids have mentioned over and over again
Wow.
about me starting this journey and becoming a coach, and they know what I do,
Yeah.
and they listen to what I do. So, one of those the most important things is that I'm happy now.
Yeah. And you're happy regardless of how many times a week you hear from your children,
Yeah,
regardless of, how many people show up to, your virtual speaker event,
right,
regardless of circumstance. And
right.
do you know the book Happy for No Reason, Kim?
No, I don't, but I'll have
Oh,
to check that out.
Kim, that by
Happy for no reason.
the author is Marcy Shimoff. She
Okay.
was the lead off episode that kicked off season 2. And she uses a whole analogy throughout her book of being happy for no reason. You know, what you're talking about, being happy
Mhm.
just because, not
Just because.
when your kids call, not when you get the promotion. And what she says is she uses a whole analogy of building your inner home of happiness and
Mhm.
the foundation to building your home, because you can't build a home without a foundation, right?
Right.
It's taking 100, recognizing that you are 100% responsible for your happiness.
Mhm.
And that
Yeah.
I find that very fascinating, and how wonderful for you that your children not only recognize it, but they share that with you, that they see that. I mean, you know, they're proud of us. They're proud of you. I'm
Yeah.
sure they're proud of the work that you've done on yourself, and they watch and they see. And that, my friends listening, is why I tell you motherhood, a life sentence with a big heart. It is, because you're
Yeah.
always a mom. Once a mom, always a mom. It shifts the way we mom. It shifts and it changes, but you're always a mom and they're always learning from you. And you get to grow and learn just like they get to grow and learn. And I love that they notice that about you, Kim. That's special.
Yeah, and I noticed that they like to be around me a lot more because, they don't I think a lot of us parents, and I did this for years, is I put the pressure on them to make me happy. I put pressure on them to call me to make me happy, to visit to make me happy, and it was just too much pressure to even be around that.
Yeah.
So, they stayed away.
Yeah. I get that. So you're going to check your expectations, your
Mhm.
conscious and unconscious expectations. You're going to stop giving unsolicited advice and you're going to go to that asking permission. You're going to ask them what they want. Do they want you to give advice or do they just want to vent? And then you are going to be 100% responsible for your happiness. I like that. And it begins with, recognize that you get to create your results and that you have your own back. I love that. There's so many ways that you can begin taking ownership of your happiness. And it
Yeah.
starts with looking from within. So I love it. I mean, this is a great conversation. And it all leads to a deepening, more open, less stressful, easy connection with your adult children. It makes
Mhm.
it easy for everybody. So thank you for having this important conversation with us. I truly
Yeah,
appreciate it. And
absolutely.
you do know, Kim knows that you don't get out of the Zoom, you don't get out of Beyond Empty Nest Zoom without a dare for the audience. You have a really great dare to give to our audience. So what is the dare for this week for the Beyond Empty Nest audience?
Okay, this is a fun one because this goes right with number 3 of being 100% responsible for our happiness. Let's kick this off because my dare for you is to get a notebook out and write 100 great things that you like about yourself. And you know what? It's going to get hard at number 75. So you're going to get really creative with what you like about yourself. We all have talents. We all have special gifts and special personalities. And it's time to sit down and really identify why you are a great human being.
I love that. And I love that you chose 100 because it could be as simple as I have really great eyes.
Yeah.
In addition to, like, I'm a great listener,
Yeah.
like, whatever it is. So dare to get a notebook out, write 100 things you like about yourself. We are giving you a warning. 75 is a sweet spot where you might struggle. It's okay. Take a deep breath, light a candle, put on some inspiring music, and continue until you get to 100. We would love to hear about some of them. Also, below this recording in the show notes, we have the links for you to connect with Kim, her website, social media, but you also have, is this resource that I was going to ask you about on your website, can it be accessed?
Yes, it is. It
Okay.
is on the resource on the website. Now, I have a couple different free gifts that you can access there.
Yeah. So if you're really, really struggling with feeling a lack of connection and struggling with your relationship with your adult children, really head over to Kim's website, grab one of her resources, reach out. And Kim, I can't thank you enough for being part of Beyond Empty Nest in this important conversation. I look forward to talking to you more and yeah, and just watching the transformation for our audience. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jody. This was a lot of fun. Yeah.
And listen up, everybody, and know what I'm going to say. I started this podcast for one reason only, for you, to support you in making this next chapter even better than the last, because there's so much possibility and opportunity beyond empty nest waiting for you. So our goal is for you to take one thing, just one thing away from every guest on our podcast. So what was it for you today? What was that aha moment? Or that takeaway, that one strategy that you're going to put into practice and implement today? Let us know in the comments below. Leave us a review. Share this episode with a mom that you love and you care about deeply. And we will be back next Thursday with another episode of Beyond Empty Nest. And until then, dare on. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. Head over to jodysilverman.com for our full show notes, more information, and additional resources to support you through empty nest and midlife. And if you've enjoyed today's show and are ready to embrace this midlife chapter, then you must take the Happy for No Reason quiz. When you take the quiz, you'll discover what your happiness set point is and how you can increase it and continue to strengthen it. This is just one key to navigating life transitions and discovering your most fulfilled and daring life. So go ahead, click the link below and take the quiz now. I'll see you next Thursday. Dare on.